So what is the best way to build your email list and make some sales in the process? Okay, so unlike every other YouTube video out there that's going to tell you to build a lead magnet, build out some quiz, or just whack up your link tree all over your social media and hope that you grow your email list because of that. If you want to go check out those videos, there's about 50 of them over on YouTube search, but I want to do something completely different to help grow your list. It's just something I don't think many people are talking about either. It's about building your list, get this, from the inside out, which means you're building a strong community inside your list and they're going to help spread the word. So if you're looking for some marketing tactic or growth hack, probably not the right video for you, but if you're looking for a way to build super fans with your list and they help grow your list, then this is the video that you want to watch. Plus, I'm going to show you 5 different ways you can do this and you can deploy today, not in like 5 weeks, so you can actually get results. So who am I? My name is Jules Dan. Hey, I'm a freelance copywriter with over $10 million in client results. I'm also now an email list manager where I get to do this stuff on a daily basis and give you all the insights along the way. It's a really fun job. So if you're looking to get more customers, make more per customer, and keep them coming back with the power of the pen, you're in for a treat today because we're trying to get them to come back with their friends in their email list, or your email list, however you want to call it. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through my profitable persona questionnaire. It's just this fancy word I've coined for how do I go in there, mimic someone, ghostwrite them, and sound just like them so I can portray their personality in the copy. And this is the secret to being ultra relatable to your audience. I absolutely love this part of the job. You get to be this puppet master who's controlling the emotions of the list and you just feel diabolically powerful. And yet my mum still has no idea what I do for a living, basically. So why do I think that building a community from the inside out and building a list that way is the smartest way to do it? Well, here's why. Now, I'm not saying everyone is doing this, but a lot of people are just straight up pitching in every single email. People are expecting to get pitched. So why don't we do things a little bit differently? So doing things differently is one of the core things I do with my email list management clients. So I really want to infuse their personality inside of the copy. I want to talk about their stories. I want to talk about their hobbies, their passions, what they did on the weekend, maybe some stupid stuff they got up to, and a whole bunch of other little things that we're going to get into today. Why is infusing your personality and telling stories a great thing? Well, think about it. If you have the best offer, the best copy, maybe it's entertaining, but it's not relatable to your audience, who's going to really listen? So I wrote down this extreme example on my phone just to illustrate this. Imagine you're this 18-year-old marriage counselor who helps 65-year-old plus war veterans. It's just, there's no congruency, there's nothing relatable. It's kind of hard to believe that this person has the answers. And that's why I believe the key to growing your list from the inside out, building a strong community of super fans is being extremely relatable, and that all comes down to how you reveal yourself strategically inside of your communication. I'm going to show you 5 different ways you can do that in today's video. So then let's jump into these 5 profitable persona questions. So then that way you can brainstorm ideas for your future emails and gets people coming and referring people back to your list. If there's anything you want to take away from this, it's this. It's what strategic flaws do you want to reveal about yourself? Now, the reason why I brought this up, because we all live in this highlight reel society now, especially on Instagram or Facebook, where everyone's just showing the holiday they went out with, or these major life events, or all the friends they're with. No one, rarely do people ever talk about, the stuff, the messy middle to help them get there. The weird thing is that as humans, if you're showing off all the time how good you are and you're not really showing the messy middle, people are going to get insecure at themselves that they're not at where you are. And that is anti-persuasive. So we don't want that. We want to show some strategic flaws that they can relate with. So you're going to see the people who are always talking about wins from clients, always talking about life wins, relationship wins. And they're super important. I'm not saying don't include them, but here's some things you might want to include so you sound super relatable to your reader. If you know them inside out, this is going to be super helpful. So when I was doing this exercise with one of my clients, I said, Troy, what are some of your flaws? And he couldn't tell me straight up, but we kind of got there eventually. And some of the things that he falls into is that he loves new. So he loves shiny objects, finding some new product or lead gen method and diving into it, only for his team to pull him out and say, look, you have to stop because this is a distraction from where we're going. So that's one idea. Another strategic flaw that he has is what I like to think as ADD tunnel vision, where you can get so obsessed with something where you block out everything else while there's fires burning behind you. but you've got insane focus on this thing. It can be a positive and it can also be a negative. So the positive is you get work done, and you're not focusing on the bad stuff. But the negative is that you dive into this rabbit hole of a shiny object and you don't know how to pull yourself out. So can you see how I'm pulling out some strategic flaws where, especially in this entrepreneur, agency owner community, they can really see themselves in? That's what I mean by flaw. Here is the super important thing. Remember I said you have to be strategic with what you reveal. It has to make sense to your audience what you reveal, which is why I kind of think this movement of being extremely vulnerable is a bit overrated. I actually completely disagree with being radically transparent, because there's a time and place for telling everyone when you wet the bed. Unless you sell some sort of adult nappy or diaper in America where it's actually advantageous to tell people about that. But for the most part, you want to be strategic with what you let people know and what you should probably keep private. A good lesson that my mentor has taught me is just because you're being strategic doesn't mean you're not sincere, okay? Go back to that bedwetter example. I think that's like a classic thing. There are some things that are just better kept private. Right, so let's move on to the next profitable persona question. What specific traits do you want your customers to embody? So I absolutely love doing this question, because when I ask my clients, they all think about, what do my best clients do and what do they think, act and say differently than all the people who just can't get results? That's a quintessential model that you want people to aspire to when I mean traits. And I'll give you some examples. So after working with dozens of high-tech coaches behind closed doors, one of their biggest complaints are students who just drag their feet, who don't want to do the work, who invest money and expect to be handheld through everything while everyone else is just doing what they're supposed to be doing. This person feels entitled, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so I'm overgeneralizing maybe, but for the most part, this is the type of person who we don't want. They're time consuming, entitled, they think they can just show up and the work's done magically for them. We don't want to attract that kind of customer. So who's the type of customer we do want to attract? And that is who you want to portray inside of your copy, your stories, your emails, that sort of thing. Now, the best way of doing this is, instead of just telling people, you just tell stories. So let's use Troy as an example again. So his top members are called Maverick Clubs. So sometimes we've just told some stories of what do Mavericks do differently. Now, the key thing is that we want to portray that they are resilient and they're resourceful, but we don't just say that if you want to be successful, you have to be resilient and resourceful. It's probably a good idea to tell the story how if someone wasn't this way, say your ideal customer, they came through your program, then they learned in order to be successful, they had to embody these traits. I'm overgeneralizing a bit, but can you see this is a theme of an email? You want them to believe that resiliency and resourcefulness is a powerful trait, and then you want to maybe show a story of how someone did it. So what are some more traits you might want your customers to embody? Well, there's like responsibility, there's self-reliance, there's grit, all these good things that you want from customers, I would imagine. Now, I touched on stories. How do you make this all happen? Well, it's all about something called strategic storytelling, and that's going to be in this next part. So what values are super important to you and what values do you want to share with your customers? So you'd probably agree with me that actions speak louder than words, but it's kind of hard to do that with written communication. We can't really show people values and action, but we can do it with a story, a values and action story. So there's a big difference between saying you're stoic or saying you're self-reliant or saying you're resourceful, rather than overtly saying this, say, in your copy, in your stories. And I'll show you how in a sec. Basically, if you have a theme, if you have a value that you want to bring up, you can talk about the theme of that without actually bringing it up, and the audience will come to their own conclusion. And that's a powerful thing. You don't want to tell them. If they come to their own discovery, that is the ultimate form of persuasion. You do this enough times in your stories, different angles, same sort of theme of let's be more resourceful. People are going to pick up that that's how you should be acting, without you sounding like some preachy guru. So an example like this, I've told this to my list, is that when I was younger, so I'm the youngest of 3 siblings, and I remember growing up, everyone just used to snowplow everything for me. Like little Julian, just make it all, just, do everything for him, buy stuff for him. So, and while it was great when I was younger, I kind of learned when I was in my mid-20s, man, I'm kind of like a big baby here. I need to get stuff done. And during COVID, I was actually living at my parents' place, trying to build my freelance business, and it was quite broke. And as soon as the restrictions are lifted, I had a little bit of money and I thought, look, I could save more money, live at my parents' place, or I could just leave, find a place to rent, live it out tough, use my poverty basically as a means to push through this and build my freelance business. I had to really eat shit for about 6-7 months before I saw any progress. I didn't take on any government welfare payments, even though I was entitled to. I didn't go on any dates. I ate very simply, just because I basically had this dream to build my freelance business so I could work for myself. And it wasn't until this one cold email that just changed everything. So that's what I mean by a values and action story. I kind of simplified it there, but what I was trying to do is get through independence and self-reliance as a theme for that story. So a good tip with values and action stories as well is, what are the stories you can build tension around? Something that's really relatable in terms of the problem that they're going through, as in your audience. So for me, it was not looking like some dropkick from the family and actually going out and doing something for myself. Because here's the thing, right? Everyone's got so many stories. That's not the hard part. The hard part is finding the story that's going to really resonate with your customer. And you know what the best way to figure that out is? You just have to tell them and find out what sticks. Okay, we're almost there. 2 more things you need to think about. This next one is super easy to think about, but you might have to take some time to write these down. And it's, what are your philosophies? I mean, what are your philosophies on time, on money, on relationships, on family? People find this very curious and fascinating. I mean, everyone's got their opinion on money. If you're really curious how to intertwine philosophy with your content, with your copy, definitely check out this dude, Dan Kennedy. So he infuses philosophy all the time with his stuff. Yes, it is a content book, but he even admits in some of his paid courses that these are called advocacy books. He wants people to believe into his way of thinking, and he subtly slips it in there. So if you're a real student, check this out. I think it's called Wealth Attraction and New Economy. It's just packed full of his philosophies. So to neatly sort of tie this up, really get clear on your philosophies on time, money, family, relationships. What are they? And then what kind of stories can you tell that subtly, overtly, that tell these philosophies? Now this last one is going to be a little bit squeamish. So what opinions do you have that are going to attract and also repel the bad customers? So there's a good saying, I love this, it's like, love me, hate me, but there's no money in the middle. And the best people to study are the people who love throwing rocks at pretty much everyone else. So if you haven't already, check out this dude called Ben Settle. He's been writing daily emails forever basically, but he's not afraid to throw rocks and offend people who, say for instance, unsubscribe from his newsletter. He has his paid newsletter and he has this rule. If you unsubscribe from his newsletter, you're not allowed back. No exceptions. And he will not mind taking someone's email saying, please, you have to let me back. And he'll just be like, no, because this is the type of person I don't want. And yes, he pisses off a lot of people in the process, especially with his political stuff, which we don't have to get into. But Ben is an absolute awesome person to study of what opinions will you use to attract people, but also repel the bad people. And again, this is building up on the other things, like what traits do you want people to have? Like he's pissing people off saying, I don't want people who are just going to flake on me. I want people who are loyal to me. So that's a trait he wants. And he's also offending the crap out of people by, blocking out their names and putting them out to burn on the stake, so to speak, in front of his whole list, which makes it entertaining, which makes it easy reading. So there's heaps of shit going on. It's really fascinating to study. So to wrap up again in a nice little bow of what you should do with this section to offend, to attract people, is get really clear on who's the type of person you want to serve, and then reverse engineer what they like, what they don't like, what are their beliefs, who do they hate, that sort of thing. And then from there, you can be this diabolical puppet master who's controlling the emotions of the people you want to serve. Oh boy, that just sounded so bad, but to be frank, that's what we're all doing with email marketing. So those are the 5 questions for my profitable persona email marketing questionnaire that I use to help grow right with my clients. Now, if you're looking for 5 email marketing templates to help bring in cash, build a relationship, expand upon what we spoke about today, make sure you check out this video over here. I go talk about these 5 cash cow email templates. I use these with my clients all the time. They're extremely powerful. And I think if you watch this video, it's going to be the perfect companion to what you've just watched now.